Good evening. It is 6:30 and I'd like to call this regular meeting of council to order and acknowledge that the city of Winkler is situated on Treaty 1 land, home to the Anishinaabe, Cree, Ojibwe Cree, and Dakota and Dene peoples and the homeland of the Métis Nation. We respect the treaties that have been made on these territories and dedicate ourselves to a future based on respect for all peoples, moving forward to a harmonious, prosperous future together. Be it resolved that the agenda for this regular council meeting of January 27th, 2026 be adopted. Mover?
Andrew?
Second.
Marvin.
Any additions or changes to that agenda? All in favor? Carried. Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular council meeting of January 13th, 2026 be adopted. Mover?
Ryan.
Second.
Peter.
They're attached. You've had a chance to review them. Any concerns about those minutes? All in favor? And that is carried. We have a couple of pieces of correspondence. One, a note from the Property Assessment Services Group with a levy increase that is roughly inflation rate at 2.1%. And secondly, Community Futures Annual Report. Any comments on either one of those pieces?
Well, on the Community Futures, you'll notice obviously their targets, they've far exceeded their targets, the amount of loans, and also the dollars that they've loaned, so that's excellent. You'll also see strong activity in the Winkler, Morden, Stanley area there as well, both in number of loans and in the value of the loans. So certainly for our area, this is a wonderful service and obviously well used.
Good.
It's very good to see that there are options for business startups
Right.
like that help
Exactly.
us to continue to grow our southern
Yep.
Manitoba community.
Exactly.
Are there immigrants that are using this service?
Yep.
Oh, good.
Yep.
Right on.
Yep.
Perfect. It's good that they know about it, so it's good.
Exactly.
Right on.
Seeing nothing further, we'll move into finance. Be it resolved that accounts payable in the amount of $10,059,329.27 as approved by the Finance Committee be approved for payment. Mover?
Andrew?
Second.
Don?
As always, check register is attached. Any questions on what you see there?
Just a bigger number than normal.
It certainly is, and half of that is for the purchase of some land, so that's a good thing.
Yep.
All in favor? Carried. The second part is a DFA resolution. I'll read through the whereases as well so that everybody's fully familiar with it. Whereas the City of Winkler was requested by EMO to enact our emergency shelter and be on standby to accept evacuees from the 2025 fires. Therefore, be it resolved that the City of Winkler requests disaster financial assistance for the public sector costs incurred to the city to enact our emergency shelter during the 2025 wildfires. Mover?
Marvin.
Second.
Peter.
As you will see in your shared notes, we have been verbally approved for this, but in order to actually have these costs reimbursed to us, we need to put this resolution on the floor. Any additional thoughts or comments on it?
Well, it's nice to see this as well. The province is also supported in terms of the firefighting and so on for departments that went, so it makes it much easier for smaller departments to assist in an emergency setting, and it doesn't weigh us down with both the financial strapping and the responders as well. So it's good to see.
Agreed. Not seeing further comments, all in favor? And that is carried. Be it resolved that the City of Winkler purchased 79.78 acres of land with the legal description of Northeast 34-2-4W of Winkler, Manitoba, roll number 201-630-000 for the price of $4,332,900 plus GST and land transfer, and 42 acres of land with legal description of Southeast 34-2-4W of Winkler, Manitoba, roll number 201-730-000 for the price of $840,000 plus GST and land transfer tax, using funds from the general reserve. Mover?
Ryan?
Second.
Don?
Jody, if you don't mind with a little bit of additional background on this number and what it does.
Sure. So some time ago, council gave direction to staff to keep our eyes open for land that could be used for industrial development. And so we did so. These properties came up. They're not right next to each other, but they were owned by the same owner who decided to sell. It's my understanding of council's direction that we are not going to immediately do any industrial development, but rather that we have land that we will hold for the future. And that provides other private land holders to do some of their own industrial development in the meantime.
Thank you for that, Jody. Council?
Does this, if we hold land, does it count towards our reserve fund? Or since this is outside of cash, does the municipal act not allow us to consider this as reserve money?
Like to consider the money that we're spending or the asset that we're
The asset
acquiring?
value, like when we do our reserve ratios and so forth,
So it would not be in the reserve ratio calculation.
if not, eh?
That's my understanding.
Because
Now,
technically we'd still be sitting on that same amount of money. It's gonna grow every year, but
Yeah.
the-
I'll have David confirm that, but that is my understanding.
okay. I assume that too, but I'd be interesting to know why they wouldn't allow you to do that.
Okay.
Because it'd be sitting in there at market value or more, right?
Yeah, better land than cash, you know, because at least you're hedged against inflation and stuff, and,
Agreed.
and it's also, you know, especially for our community, it's, you know, if you wanted to turn it to cash, it'd be pretty quickly done, I'm sure, but.
It's a good question, but in any event, it's still good when for internally, we think about it, we know that we do have that as an asset.
Yeah.
So it still is worth something to us, but it's just we don't get credit for it provincially.
True.
And I do want to highlight, Jody made the point, but I want to highlight it. We did tell our other industrial developments that we were not getting in this game immediately. So this is a future purchase. It's not a short-term purchase, so.
I think that's an excellent point, Andrew. And we do want to make sure that when we make commitments, that we stand behind our commitments. We recognize that industrial development is, to a large degree, what has brought Winkler to where it is today. And when we sold out the last of our land, we had developers who said we're going to develop some lands, and we encouraged them to do so, and we thanked them for doing so. But we also recognized that we had to look towards the longer-term future, and we did provide direction to Jody and team to find some lands that we could maybe acquire that would allow us to set the future Winkler up as the way we were set up. And I think that is a really good thing, and I'm happy to see this here, but I think it's critically important that we acknowledge and respect the commitment that we made, that initially, we're not in it today. Final comments? All in favor? And that is carried. Nothing protective services or transportation and utilities today. It takes us into waste and recycling. Be it resolved that the Swamp Board minutes for the January 20th, 2026 meeting be received for information. Mover?
Peter.
Second?
Michael.
Any thoughts on those minutes, Peter?
Exciting minutes.
aren't they?
Riveting. No, the compost, the compost pad is ready to go, so we will be
Nice.
composting this coming year for sure. New track loader was ordered, and I think they took delivery of it this last week. We have the preliminary audit started, so just so you know,
Oh,
we won't-
fantastic.
we should be going into September for our audit.
Well done.
I'm hoping.
Well done.
Of course, since we lost our service provider for the composting and the wood recycling and so forth, our tonnage is up by 25% over last year. So that's creating both a good thing and a bad thing. It's creating revenue, but it's also taking away airspace. But we're dealing with, we're chipping the wood, trying to sell it to some people that need wood chips for heating.
Okay.
There's some greenhouses that like that stuff for heating, so that's good.
Excellent.
Yeah, and of course, along with the new license comes the new monitoring rules, and the methane gas is gonna have to be done quarterly now, and that's gonna raise the cost of operating, so it's
With
exciting.
growth.
With growth comes
Pain.
expense, right? It comes pain, so yeah. But otherwise, moving forward, we've had a great year, and staff is looking forward to more training and more work.
Excellent. Thank you, Peter. All in favor of those minutes? Carried. Brings us to planning. Be it resolved that the minutes for the planning committee meeting of January 13th, 2026 be adopted. Mover?
Don?
Second.
Ryan?
Minutes are attached. Any questions or comments on them?
Well, just an interesting proposal from a group about emergency housing, which is unfortunately, we do have some homeless people in our community, and it's unfortunate we need that, but it's a interesting initiative that will be interesting to see if they can pull it off. And the other thing I was thinking a little bit about is their survey results from our on-demand transit, public transit, which appears to be running quite well.
Yep, it's been good to see, and I think you referenced it well. We do have similar problems to many other communities. We're not exempt from some of those, but as we typically do see a uniquely made in Winkler type of potential solution, what exactly that looks like, we don't know today, but the fact that we do have people who are prepared to step into it and help us figure it out, it's
Yeah, it's great.
very encouraging. All in favor of those minutes? And that is carried. That will take us down to delegations and hearings. Be it resolved that this regular meeting of council recess for the purpose of holding public hearings. Mover.
Peter?
Second.
Marvin?
All in favor? Carried. Jody, if you would help us with how we'll go through these hearings?
Sure. We have a couple public hearings today, so for each one of them, we'll do a brief introduction of the public hearing, and then the mayor will call for input, either opposed or in favor. And after discussion, then council will make their decision. If you do come up to speak, we ask you come up to the mic. We stream our meetings, and we want everybody to be able to participate in that way. So if you could stand up to the mic and state your name, that would be appreciated.
Thank you, Jody. We'll start then for the first hearing, public hearing for variance number VA 2025-028 at 390 George Avenue.
So this is from applicant Cornelius Becker on behalf of owners Keystone Pattern, Inc., as mentioned, 390 George Avenue. The purpose here is in order to construct a 50 by 80 foot shop addition, and the variance request is to reduce the required rear yard setback from 20 feet to 6.16 feet in the industrial M zone. Our office did not receive any objections to this application. You see a report to council attached with a recommendation from the planning department to approve with the condition of obtaining a staking certificate.
Okay. Thank you, Jody. Is there anyone here wishing to speak to this application? I'd ask you to come to the microphone, please.
My name is Lauren Elias. I'm part owner of Keystone Pattern, and yeah, we're just looking to expand our operations with business that my dad started in 1991, and we've taken over and just making some changes and growing, and so the space is getting a little tight. So we want to maximize the property that we have there and get as much out of it as we can, and so that's the reason for the addition and the request for the variance. So other than that, I have nothing to add there.
Thank you. Is there anybody else in chambers wishing to speak to this? We don't have anything online either. Council, any questions or comments before we close the hearing?
I guess my question would be, so the purpose for the staking is to make sure that there's enough room for maintenance? No, or what is the purpose of needing a staking?
I'll get Stephanie to.
Thank you.
Stephanie Jans, Manager of Planning and Permitting. So a staking certificate is a mandatory requirement for any development permit in Winkler unless waived by the designated officer. Predominantly, waivers are considered when there's a lot of certainty in terms of the property boundary or the building is situated, the minimum setback distances from that boundary. In this case, the rear yard setback is being reduced from 20 down to roughly 6 feet. There isn't a staking certificate we have on city file. It's reasonable to have a staking certificate to validate that property line.
Thank you, Stephanie.
Thank you.
Is there any concern from the staff in regards to maintenance of that drainage ditch beside it?
So we actually had quite, we had internal discussions about that. Initially we were quite concerned. However, as indicated in the report, the property to the west has a chain link fence along the rear yard. So in terms of accessing the ditch for maintenance from the north, it's not really viable already. There is a future need to secure a working easement along the property to the south in order to continue to have access to maintain that ditch.
Because there's also a water main running in that right-of-way that we have there, right? Judging from the map that I've seen here. Okay.
Not seeing anything further, be it resolved that the public hearing for variation application number VA 2025-028 be closed. Mover?
Ryan?
Second.
On.
Further comments? All in favor? Hearing is closed. Be it resolved that council approve variance number VA 2025-028, subject to the owner obtaining a surveying certificate prior to development permit application approval. Mover?
Michael?
Second.
Andrew?
Other thoughts, comments? All in favor? And that is approved.
I would like to ask to be excused based on a perceived conflict of interest.
Prior to the next hearing, I would suggest as well that this is the last item on our agenda. If you would so like, Councillor Fraser, we'll excuse you for the meeting. Have a good night. Continuing on then, this is a public hearing for subdivision application 4463-25-8486 for the Gardens Phase 3. Jody.
Yeah, so you have as mentioned, this is an application for subdivision. As far as our office, there's no concerns that were brought forward about this application. You also have a report to council in front of you. And on this one, there's a recommendation from staff along with some alternatives. The recommendation was to defeat, and the reasons for that was primarily, as you would note in the report, due to some unknowns with the location of a raw water line, as well as concerns that the site does not yet have servicing for water and sewer. There is an alternative option that is presented there to adjourn the hearing. An arbitrary date was put in there, not knowing if that option was chosen, how much time council would provide, or if the developer was in favor, how much time they would need.
Thank you, Jody. And I will give our proponent an opportunity to speak if he would so desire.
John Fraze.
Good evening, John.
You may want this short, I'm not sure. You went to the last item on your meetings. I don't know, will I be in your good books or not?
Our fate is in your hands.
Okay, so this is a residential subdivision, single family, and it's got a few duplexes on the north end, which is kind of according to what the development plan had, so we're trying to include that in there as well. Obviously, my preference, I mean, the staff has recommended not to approve at this point, and the two main reasons is the raw water line
Right.
that runs across there, and also the services, Bay State service connection main lines. I've had meetings with staff, and we had one yesterday. It was productive, was good. I think we got through some items where we came up with some ideas that the raw water line could work in wherever we move it to.
Right.
So that was good. The other item about the service connections, I'm still negotiating with that, and I think we're making some progress on that. My maybe unwillingness to push this up for 3 months would be because if the timeline for doing a subdivision is long,
Right.
and the need for housing is also long.
It is indeed.
So if I delay this 3 months, I think I'm pushing this whole subdivision into the 2027 summer for servicing beforehand. Because it does take that long, you know, with hydro and so forth, it has to be done. But I also know that some of these things need to be ironed out. I mean, I would love to see council say, yeah, we will approve this subdivision with conditions that the raw water line gets addressed in the development agreement, and which has time to do, right? Development agreement doesn't happen right away.
Right.
And same with the service connections. But I'm also working on some things, so, and for council maybe to even consider that as a development agreement item condition, I would ask for an adjournment for the second meeting in February.
I think that makes a lot of sense. It allows some additional conversations to happen in the meantime, but it doesn't, like you've already referenced, it doesn't stop it now for 3 months while we're trying to figure it out.
Right.
The fact that you're prepared to continue to work on it, and we have heard from our staff that there have been very good conversations looking to address some of these. I would agree with John that it makes a lot of sense to do, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn till the second meeting of February.
Can I
I would like to move that.
have one question before?
If we, before we take the motion?
Yep.
That's fair. Go ahead, please.
Okay. I'm just, my question is you mentioned, like, approve this subject to the raw water and the sewer connection. I'm just wondering what would be, is there any advantage to approving subject to or adjourning? I guess that's my question to whoever.
And I would
Sure.
ask Jody to speak to
You
that.
know, like,
If that was the direction that council would prefer, we as staff would probably ask you to adjourn for 4 weeks anyway, because we're not prepared to have fully vetted conditions, like in the interest of protecting the city.
okay,
At this meeting, we wouldn't be able to say, well, here's a properly vetted list of conditions.
Okay.
So if you had gone in that direction, I would recommend that you adjourn anyway.
okay. No, that's fine. I was just curious
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
the best, or, yeah, because timelines, it's just not dragged the same.
Yeah.
No, I'm in agreement too, like, to have that 1 month, just for the extra time that we
Yeah.
can work with, how that would actually look.
No, then I would,
Appreciate that, John.
And I would just like to add one thing that I had meant to say at the beginning. I do want it to be known that staff look at this subdivision very favorably. We also see the need for more single-family lots, and so, you know, lots of good here. We would like to recommend approval if those other two concerns were dealt with. So as far as the subdivision, that's not the issue at all, and I just wanted to make that clear.
I appreciate that additional clarification. Thank you, Jody. I have a motion to adjourn till the second meeting in February from Marvin Platt.
I'll second.
I have a seconder in Ryan.
That would be February 24th, which we need to
24th.
record for the purposes of the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very pleased to do that. We used to have our slogan, yes, Winkler, and yes, if, and yes, when. I like that a lot better than if we say, no, not, okay, we'll stop this, not until you get your act together. That just doesn't sound positive. And this is a way of looking at it in a positive way. Yeah, we're in favor. But let's, as soon as we can get those things done, then it's great. So, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
Okay. All in favor? And we are then adjourned. Thank you very much, John. That takes us to the end of our hearings. Be it resolved that public hearings be adjourned and regular council reconvene. Mover.
I'll do that.
Peter, second.
Michael?
Michael. All in favor? Carried. There are no additions. There is no other business. I will then entertain questions from media or public relevant to this meeting of council. You folks joined us here this evening. Did you just want to see what we're doing, or did you have a question of us?
We're just spending some time.
No, it's good.
Excellent.
It's wonderful.
Excellent. We do have somebody in chambers, and she just mentioned she was coming and spending some time here to see the work of the city.
We're newcomers, and as a
I'll ask you to come to the microphone and just state your name if you don't mind.
That's great.
Lily Shem. This is a little bit really tall. So we're newcomers. This is
Wonderful.
our fourth year living in Winkler.
Very nice.
We really love the city. So we're really curious how the city is developing. As far as we're seeing, it's developing pretty well. And when we got that letter from the city, we're pretty excited. My husband and I wanted to come together, but unfortunately, he was sick today, so I just took my kid here. So it looks like you guys are doing a really good job.
Appreciate
you.
that.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And certainly welcome.
Yeah, absolutely.
you.
Yeah.
yeah. And as a permanent resident here, we're enjoying living in Winkler, and especially after purchasing a house here, we really care about the development in the city, and
That's good to see.
yeah, it's good to see that the city is expanding, as well as the housing prices is increasing. Yeah, it's good to see, because I have friends living in other provinces. They have not as optimistic news as we do here. So choosing a place for your future development really matters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. No questions?
Yeah.
Excellent. Well,
Yeah,
we
thank
want to say welcome to Winkler.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That you're investing by buying a house and putting down roots over here. That's exactly what Winkler is all about.
Yeah.
You're now part of helping Winkler develop and Winkler grow, so thank you for that.
Thank you. And I think this is what other newcomers care about.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to the meeting. Yeah.
Have a good evening. Seeing nothing further, be it resolved that this regular meeting of council be adjourned. Mover?
Ryan.
Second.
Don?
All in favor? And we're done.